Hello, listeners, and welcome to today's podcast, where we'll be discussing the paranormal. I'm your host, Rudy, and I'm joined by my fellow hosts,
Andrew.
And
Hi, I'm Samuel.
in today's podcast, we'll be reading ghost stories found on the internet, and it will be our job to debunk them.
We will also be interviewing people who claim to experience the paranormal, and we will respectfully try to explain their experience.
They're wrong.
Trying to come up with a logical reason for their story. So the way this podcast works is one of our hosts is going to tell us a story, and then the other two are going to try to find their way to debunk the story as best as possible, and also stay respectful, of course. Andrew, what's your first story today?
So I've got two, and both of which are like basically summoning a ghost kind of games, like Bloody Mary, those kind of games, but on a different level. So the first one I have is the Look-See Man, the Look-See or the Looky. He is a man of many names, but this is a game where if you win, you will be rewarded with the ability to see into the future. But if you lose the game, the Look-See will take your eyes. So to start this game, one must draw an eyeball on every window in your house. It's important to draw on every window, otherwise the game will not start.
How do you draw on a window?
Like with a marker?
Yeah, with like a paintbrush.
Like a
I don't know.
marker?
It has to be white paint too. I did forget to mention that.
Oh,
It has to be white, not white paint, white colored. So I'm assuming it has to be white paint, where you just draw an eyeball with white, or like a paintbrush on every window. But anyway, after you draw your eyeballs on your windows, you have to enter a windowless room in your house at midnight with a candle. So I was unable to find the words that must be said to summon the creature, and that's probably a good thing in case these are real. But after the demon is summoned, you must walk around your house with the lit candle, and it is important that you keep moving. Like, you cannot stay in a certain room or the windowless room for a prolonged period of time. Like, you have to keep moving, otherwise you lose. The Look-See will try to find you by looking for you outside of your house, by looking through your windows. You have to evade the Look-See by making it until sunrise without him seeing you at all. If you win, you, of course, gain the ability to see into the future, but if you lose, the Look-See will take your eyes, blinding you forever.
How do you know if... I mean, I guess you would know if you've been seen, you just stop. You just are blind.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's how you know you lose. You just can't see anything. Well, looks like I lost.
Oh man, it's just so dark. Let me turn on the lights.
Oh. I'm blind.
I guess I lost.
I guess I lost.
If it's just outside your window, how's it going to take your eyes if it can't get into your house?
Well, after it sees you, I'm assuming it's allowed in your house.
Oh,
Well,
okay.
we make rules with the demon, I believe, when we decide to play this game. So
Also, why can't I stay in one room? What's
because
it gonna
that's
cheating.
one of the rules. Why can't he come into your house?
Yeah, that's cheating.
How will it know that I stayed in that room?
He'll just know.
Maybe he, maybe there's
knows.
a second demon that's the referee.
He's just there by the window going, dude, you can't do that. I'm like, bro, I've been moving around this whole time.
goes,
What are you talking
Yellow
about?
card.
Red card, yeah.
Stayed in one room. Red card.
Penalty.
All right, that's a single kick for the demon.
That's one eyeball.
Yeah, that's
It's one eyeball.
that's a catalyst in the eye.
One warning.
Cataract in the eye.
You will not get another.
Yeah, I mean, these are very good points.
I feel like there'd be a lot more random blind
But that just further
Exactly.
Sam's point with that just further questions the legitimacy of these games. Like, how do you know the demon doesn't know you're just staying in one room?
Right.
Like, there's no way.
And there's no way to test these viably, right?
No.
So if it doesn't happen, if nothing happens, it'd be very easy to say, oh, well, you must have just done something wrong, right?
Or just, you were able to evade him. He must have not seen you the entire game.
You must have forgotten a window.
Right.
Yeah.
And so to viably test this, you'd have to get many, many people who are willing to do this, do it a lot of times, and find some way to know that it works, and then try and figure out if those people actually can see into the future, which is really hard in and of itself because you're only working with what they're telling you.
Right.
So there's no way to actually test and quantify that.
And these games are very common, and none of them ever seem to produce any kind of results.
No, yeah, they're all very similar. Like the one that I'm gonna say next is
Did you find anything on the origin
the origin. No,
of the
The look-see? No. So I forget the website where I found him originally. It was actually before we did this podcast.
Okay.
Or where we had this idea to do this. And then I tried to go back, and I couldn't find anything, and that is to blame because of the Crypt TV look-see character. Like, he's, like, every time I look up the look-see or the look-see creepypasta or whatever, everything just pops up with the Crypt TV look-see. Like, I can't find anything on the game.
What about the looky man? Because I feel like...
I did look that up, and the look-see still showed up.
Damn, okay. Looky. Looky here, but
Yeah.
your game is crap.
It is crap. The refs on the board say it's crap.
Bro,
The third demon ref.
The third
says
demon
it's
ref.
crap.
What if you fight the ghost's back? What do you
we
win?
should take each other's eyes.
What if you take his eyes? Can you see into the past?
That's a really good point.
Does he just give you a history book?
Can you even interact with this? Like, I feel like a demon is like... I mean, I know that we're imagining, like, the big scary dude with the horns.
Yes.
But,
well,
like, what if it's just an incorporeal, just, like... You know what I mean?
There's only one way to find out.
No. Dude, I'm not staying here long enough to draw eyeballs on all of Rudy's windows.
No, there are way too many windows. There are 5 windows in this room we're in right now.
There we go, guys. Come back next September. It'll be done.
Okay, so the next story I have is Mama Seeks.
Oh, good.
So, Mama Seeks, of course, you need a candle. And you also need an object of self-worth. So, I don't know, anything that you have personal value or attachment to. But, so, you go into I think it's a closet, which is weird. Because this game can be played with many people. It doesn't have to be just one person, but I think it has to be a closet.
8 people in the closet.
Yeah, exactly. But I think it has to be played in the closet, and then you light the candle, and you recite the words, "Mama, mama, hear our shriek. Mama, mama, come and seek." Mama will then randomly choose a player, but if you're playing by yourself, obviously she's going to choose you. And it is your goal to evade Mama as long as possible and not let her catch you. Like, you can play this for, like, days on end. And the only way to get rid of Mama is by double tapping someone on the shoulder. So, Sam has Mama now.
Oh, no.
Mama is gonna go after Sam now. And there's no takebacks. Sam cannot give me Mama back.
No takebacks.
No takebacks.
Also,
It's fine.
we're not in a closet. Just gonna put that out
Well,
there.
what if I played the game with other people, Rudy? Whether they're aware of the game, the person you double tapped, whether they're aware of the game or willing to play, Mama will be going after that person. Should Mama catch you, you will be taken to a white room. Pure white. 4 walls, of course.
Any eyeballs?
No eyeballs.
Okay.
Oh, well.
But,
Obviously, it's a different demon then.
Yeah. Well,
she will take the appearance of your own mother, however, she will look mutilated and mangled, and she will kill you slowly and painfully. And,
What do you get if you get rid of her?
well, I'll get to that, Sam.
Oh, okay.
But, this
What do you get if you win?
this story was created entirely by a nightmare from a YouTuber named Something Else YT. So, the fact that someone can dream of these kind of stories, that's something very similar to the rest of every other story that I've seen researching this, just shows you how unlikely it is that these stories are true because of how similar they are.
Right.
And
He said it was a nightmare.
right, but what's to say that, say, the Looksee? What's to say someone had a nightmare about him? But the YouTuber who made this video openly said many times that it was a nightmare and wasn't true. Mm-hmm. But what's to say whoever created the Looksee man? What if they had a nightmare about it and just decided, oh wait, no guys, this is a real game.
Now, wait. Here's the converse, though, of that argument.
Okay.
Since all of these are very similar, they all kind of do the same thing, all kind of have the same basic idea.
Right.
What if they all stem from something that is true?
Right.
You know what I'm saying? So, because if you tell enough stories about something, even if they're all a little bit
Variations
different,
of it.
you kind of can get from hearing all those stories that something similar to that might actually be truthful. If you're hearing enough things that all kind of sound the same.
Yeah,
you
it's
know
like
what I'm saying?
the game of telephone, basically. So, like, one person starts it, tells it to another person, they
Right.
interpret it differently.
But originally, there was an original thing.
Yeah.
Like, the story of Noah is a really good example of that. So, like, Noah in the Bible is not the only example of a giant flood story. And there have been some things to indicate that because of all of these flood stories, it's possible that like in the Mediterranean, so like the original kind of cradle of humanity, there was a gigantic flooding in that area of the world that happened at one point. Not by no means the whole Earth, but like a few big areas of the Mediterranean. You know, so we could easily see how if a story is told from different cultures or from different people over and over again, it might all come from something that was real. I'm not saying that these are real things that actually work. Just the idea that stories can come from real things is not far-fetched.
Yeah.
I don't know. You don't get anything from doing this one.
No.
You don't win.
No.
You don't win. No, because this isn't a real game, Sam. Basically.
All right.
Don't go in a closet with a candle with your friends.
No.
They will try to kill you. That is what I learned here today. Takeaway points.
You can go in the bath with the candles and your friends, though.
Well, as long as that bath is not in a closet.
Isn't every room just a closet somehow?
No.
That is
I
not.
don't think so.
What makes a room a closet?
Well,
This is not the topic of the podcast, Sam.
Sam, what have you got for us today?
So I went onto the deep, dark hole of internet cryptids. And fixated upon one that is known as Smile Dog or Smile.jpg. It is a picture. It's an internet picture that's been around since like the beginning of the internet, right? So a while. And it's a dog. It's a creepy looking dog. Like,
Well, you've seen the picture, Sam.
So
I have.
So
Are you
like,
gonna die?
Probably.
Oh no.
It's a dog. So
Why
it's
does
a
a dog
husky.
have Why does it have human teeth?
Well, hold on. It's a husky, and it smiles.
okay.
And it's creepy, like really creepy smile. Here, just for reference.
So
you guys.
what about when the internet
just-
was only big enough to hold
just-
one picture?
just wait.
Was this the picture? Oh.
Here's the picture in question.
It's got human teeth. Why?
Yeah.
Did it say,
Explain.
Did I say poop?
I don't know what that says.
PO question mark?
POV?
Is that the
No,
signature?
it says POV.
POV when you're Smile Dog?
So that's what the dog. So the picture, it's like the husky, right? That's got a creepy smile with human teeth, and then like a hand in the background,
Okay.
and it's creepy looking. And in any case, the image is supposedly haunted, and those who look at it have to. So this image will like be planted in your brain, and you won't be able to like get it out of your mind, and you'll just be thinking about it constantly until you start to go insane. You'll start to have like epileptic seizures and be paranoid all the time. And then apparently the victims who are having epileptic seizures will be visited by a dog-like creature in the image named Smile Dog, and then like in dreams it'll visit them, and all that they can do is listen and watch, and this dog will be like, the only way to get away from this torment and this going nuts is to spread the word. So many of them receive shortly after like removable media, like mail without a return address, and inside is like a picture of Smile Dog, right? And they're encouraged to like spread it around. So people that have claimed that they have seen Smile.jpg joke that they were too busy to save the copy. The victims kind of all suffer the same kind of like description, like a dog-like creature, usually described as appearing similar to a Siberian husky, is illuminated by the flash of a camera in a dim room. The only background detail is a visible human hand extending from the darkness near the left side of the room, right? So, the idea is that it drives you nuts, it makes you have seizures, it makes you paranoid, it makes you go crazy until you like start to spread this picture around. And it's an interesting story, and the dog and the picture's kind of creepy. The thing is, though, I saw this picture like,
Yeah, I've seen this years ago.
I've
seen this one in particular years ago, and I'm
saw
still
this a couple
here.
weeks ago. Not going nuts any more than I already was.
So this is already debunked.
Not having any seizures. Now, there is obviously the argument that this is not actually the picture. This is just a representation of the picture.
How are you supposed to find the picture?
Well, see, that's the question. I don't know if it's a real thing or anything. But the actual fact, so the actual the author of the picture and the story still isn't really known right now. The exact origin of the creepypasta in the picture is rumored to have been posted on a paranormal board on 4chan.
Oh, already reliable.
In 2008.
Already reliable source.
So, obviously, the golden age of the internet. Related to an occult-related blog about paranormal. The earliest known image tied to the story is the one on here. So,
you say victims. Were there actual documented cases, like, by real doctors who...
I was unable to find any actual medical cases about this. However, I do know that medical institutions are not allowed to release patient records.
That is true.
So if there was, I don't think we'd be allowed to know about it.
If this was such a phenomenon,
there'd be a lot of insane
a doctor
people
who would be like, yeah, this is real.
This is a real thing.
Like, we're not going to disclose personal patient information.
but don't look at this picture.
Yeah.
Because you'll go nuts.
I mean, here's the thing. If everyone was spreading it around like the story says they would, like COVID, I would have had it already.
But you did have COVID, Rudy.
Exactly.
Oh.
Because COVID exists. The photo does not.
I mean, how do we know COVID? No, sorry.
Well,
that's another topic for
no,
another podcast.
not talking about that one. Cut that out. I'm not a COVID denier. I believe it exists just for everybody out there listening.
Sam, you also had it. I'm the only one in this room who hasn't.
I believe COVID exists and y'all should get vaccinated. Anyway.
If this dog photo existed and it really made you go crazy and everyone was sending it to each other this much, we would have seen it by now. Like, one person in our school would have seen it by now, and we would know that it was causing seizures in this person, you know? Also, it's in the very basis of the story itself, it's obviously not real.
Right.
Because the whole point of it is, here's this photo, now you have to spread it around. The entire premise of it is...
Just trying to make it more popular.
Exactly. I want to create this fiction that gets super, super popular because people are scared of it. That's what a creepypasta is. It's copy and paste.
It's also something I've seen recently, not this in particular, but all over TikTok, especially. I'll be scrolling and then it's, you've been whatever, share this with a friend or you'll get bad luck for the next 10 years. And you just know they're fake.
Yeah.
Right.
A lot like that Momo photo that was sent around, which was this. It's literally just like a sculpture that was created in like some museum somewhere, and people spread it around saying, you know, she'll be in your bed next to you when you wake up.
Did you have to like cut yourself to get rid of her? Or something?
No, you just had to send it to a bunch of people.
Okay.
Okay.
But yeah,
so
this is like no
just
different.
a creepy looking.
It's just a creepy sculpture that you have to send around, otherwise she's gonna kill you.
Yeah.
Got it.
Just like everything else, like
yeah,
it's just no different. The only thing that's different about these is the image. It's the same
every time.
Yeah, exactly. It's the same story, different image.
Yeah.
This one is very easy to do.
Right, and then obviously with Momo, I do think that it got to be a big thing for a while because people used it as an excuse to try to get kids to do crazy things.
Yeah.
But the actual picture, you know, there's nothing that's really merit to any of these. You know, otherwise there'd be a lot more.
I mean, sure, these images are unsettling, but it's not going to make me fear for my life.
Right. Otherwise, I feel like there'd be a lot more havoc that was caused by them.
There would be a lot.
Also,
more
anything that comes from 4chan in 2008 is
not
questionable in its legitimacy.
Yeah, agreed.
I think we've debunked that enough.
Well,
all right. Did you have Blair Witch?
Oh yeah, I did do some stuff on Blair Witch and Paranormal Activity too. A lot more on Blair Witch because it's way better.
It is better, yeah.
So both of those movies are actors. Blair Witch was kind of a much bigger deal. And anyway, if you don't know, these movies are just like found footage style. You just see like average or what's supposed to be amateur camera recordings of things happening. Right? And Blair Witch was much better done. And it was a lot more effective because they made the actors like disappear for a while. They weren't actors that were in anything else. They actually even organized a website that was supposed to be these amateur documentary film crews website for like their film school. And they had that website and they made it look like, for all intents and purposes, if you did some digging, that it would look like these three people actually had disappeared. And they were gone for a couple of months, I think, until somebody tried to get the law involved to bring these people back. because they thought somebody was responsible, and then the actors came back and were like, okay, we're fine, everything's cool. It was just acting, it was just a movie. But for a long time, it was really effective, and it was actually well done. It was pretty much just, found footage of these 3 people getting chased and driven nuts and killed in the woods by a witch or a spirit or a ghost or something.
It had people convinced.
Yeah, no, yeah, like both it was well done.
Yeah, both movies, more so Blair Witch, convinced people these were real occurrences.
Right.
Until the filmmakers were like, no, this is not real.
Right. And Paranormal Activity is a bit of a newer thing, and it was after found footage.
I think it was like
already been
4 or 5 years after, but
yeah, and so it got quite a bit of press, but it definitely didn't last. Like the illusion didn't last as long as Blair Witch did. So yeah, they're interesting concepts. Because, the idea of seeing actual video that is undoctored and real of, ghost or demon or something happening is frightening and sometimes enjoyable to watch. Lots of people enjoy that kind of grainy old footage style of media. Especially you see it's kind of the same atmosphere that goes into like analog horror and stuff. It's the same kind of root. But there's definitely no question as to whether or not they're real things. They're actors and they're staged. So, they're interesting concepts, but I think you'd be very hard pressed to find any actual legitimate footage of stuff like that hasn't been messed with and edited and doctored to look a certain way.
It's so easy to edit a video.
Yeah.
Like, you see these, 10 occurrences, of the paranormal caught on camera, and then it's just some guy talking about and showing you the videos, but they're so easily faked. You can so easily edit a video. I've seen multiple just videos of school, the locker shakes, and you can tell that there's a room where you can easily just push the locker.
Right.
It's very easy to fake these videos.
Yeah.
All right, well, to take it to a very different sector of this whole thing, I've been researching some of our local legends, and here's what I found on Arcadia Publishing. The Holy Family Orphanage looms over the town of Marquette with an evil presence, but it may have an even worse history. Or maybe not, but that's why we're here today. Sometime after the orphanage's construction in 1915, a girl was said to inhabit the halls when a snowstorm emerged. The nuns of the orphanage told the children to bundle up and stay inside, but unfortunately, the girl left the orphanage without a coat. Realizing they were down a child, the nuns quickly had to make a decision, leave the safety of the orphanage to find the child, or stay and wait out the storm. One of the nuns took up the responsibility and ran outside for the girl. After what must have felt like hours, the nun was finally able to find and rescue the girl, but the storm had already done its damage. A few days later, the girl died of pneumonia, and as a warning to all the other children, the nuns were said to have displayed the girl's rotting corpse in the lobby for everyone to see. And to this day, they say you can hear children crying where they left the body.
Okay.
So the death of the girl actually has been confirmed.
Okay.
So they're actually
the death of the girl sounds legitimate.
They're very, especially when that orphanage was built, there definitely were plenty of disease and elements related.
Oh yeah, it was
deaths.
1915. Modern medicine was not a thing yet.
Modern medicine and very low funding.
Yeah.
Yeah, so there definitely was a confirmed girl who did die of pneumonia there. However, they have spoken to some of the former residents of the orphanage, and none of them say that there was actually a girl displayed, her dead body. In fact, they said there was a funeral in the basement. I suppose that doesn't necessarily mean they buried her in the basement.
Service or like an actual funeral?
They said funeral. I don't know if that means they buried her, but I assume not, because now that's an apartment building, and I don't think they would make an apartment building on a dead kid's grave.
Well, I mean, even if they did bury her down there, there's not anything left.
That's probably true. It was 1950.
Or they could have just removed the body too.
Yeah. And the latest time it was
knows?
used was in 1965, so it would have been a long time.
Mm-hmm. But I doubt nuns would just leave a rotting child.
No, and
carcass.
especially if residents have said that that's not a thing that happened. Like, it sounds like the kind of thing. Lots of stories like that, especially from old orphanages, are exaggerated. Now, there definitely were cases of abuse and some bad things that happened in those. But leaving a rotting corpse on the floor is a little bit of a stretch, even for lots of those.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's not the only story like this, however, though. There are more. For example, there was a story of a boy who was either drowned or beaten to death, and they say that the nuns tried to cover it up by leaving him in the basement and hiding the body.
Once again, very similar. Body in the basement.
Very similar.
With the nuns.
And they say that to this day you can see like green glowing orbs around like medical contraptions around where the kid may have been. They believe that it was this boy. However, if you took a look outside of the orphanage while it was still not an apartment building, there was a house that had a green bug zapper. So it may be that bug zapper was causing the light from these green orbs.
Gee, I couldn't imagine.
So we do not know. I do believe, again, that this boy was a real death in the orphanage. However, there was no sign of like foul play, and also, again, there was a funeral in the basement.
Yeah.
I mean, you said drowned or beaten to death. Like he could have drowned taking a bath.
Yeah.
It's possible.
Yeah.
Yeah, and some other kids could have killed him. Like, who knows? But
Well, the confirmed part was not that he was drowned or beaten to death. There just was a confirmed death by this boy.
And the
So there were 2 total confirmed deaths then.
well,
I don't know how many total.
the sad thing about those old orphanages is, especially at that time, lots of kids died.
Yeah.
Like I said, bad funding, high exposure to the elements, bad medical care, like
Asbestos in the walls.
that too. There was just a lot of death in those buildings. So the fact that there are a couple of kind of ghost stories that have some exaggerated facts are really not a surprise.
Something
no.
my dad always warned me about was never to go in the old orphanage was because of the condition of the building and I could get sick and die. That was
Yes.
something my dad
Right.
warned me
The
about.
asbestos. Yeah.
It's
Yeah,
not
exactly.
a curse. You just are being exposed to harmful chemicals.
Yeah.
Yes. Yeah.
So what's to stop me from getting asbestos and dying with modern medicine compared to a kid in 1920 getting asbestos and dying?
Well, you would get cancer.
Yeah. Asbestos is
Asbestos
not a
causes
disease.
cancer.
Right. Okay.
Asbestos is the chemical that causes.
Thanks, Rudy, for correcting me.
You're welcome.
Yep. Yeah, but honestly, like, the orphanage is scary looking.
Oh, yeah.
And I think when you're in a place, and this could just be kind of my own personal thing. I think for lots of people, when you're in a place where lots of really bad things happened, there is undeniably there is some kind of palpable feeling of like grief and despair and sadness. Like if you ask anybody that goes to Auschwitz, and I'm not saying that the orphanage is as bad as Auschwitz. I'm just saying that in places where something horrible happened, you can feel a certain kind of like fear and hatred and death. And I think that atmosphere could totally be a real thing that we don't really understand the cause of yet. So it could be very easily just people being around the orphanage and kind of experiencing that sort of atmosphere. Could just be people that are around that atmosphere kind of just weaving it into these old stories of ghosts, you know? Also, probably drug junkies hung out in those buildings.
Oh,
and
yeah,
they
for sure.
They see all kinds of things.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yes, that is very true.
I think these stories were more created to make children afraid and more obedient. And listen to me, or you're going to end up like these kids. We now would like to introduce our guests to the podcast. We have Devin Koski and Lily Evanich. We will start with Devin. Devin had multiple experiences with the paranormal using an app called Ghost Hunting Tools. Surprisingly, the app had a 4.2 star rating on the Google Play Store. But let's read some reviews. There are many people who actually believed the app was real. They had family members who also had the app, and they both shared the same words that appeared on the screen. Some people had words pop up relating to whatever activity they were participating in at the time. Other people have reported that words appear irrelevant and questions they asked are poorly timed or the EMF reader doesn't work at all. And the app will also freeze or close completely. Hi Devin, how are you?
I'm doing alright. Yourself?
I'm good. So, I'm going to ask you a few questions about your experience with the paranormal, and you're just going to answer them. If you're not comfortable answering the question, we will move on to the next one. So,
Okay, go.
what did you personally experience with the paranormal?
I personally experienced some pretty cringy stuff and funny stuff. One of the scariest moments that I probably have had was there was this one time where it was pinpointing our location on the app, and it was pretty freaky. But it's been a match.
What was your reaction to the paranormal event?
it was pretty creepy to say the least.
Why don't you tell us about this app? So you were talking about an app that you experienced this on. Can you tell us about this app and how it works and how you found it?
Well, how I found it was me and my old friends were going through this and like, hey, let's go ghost hunting. Then we did. We found this app. Pretty much, you just speak into it, and then you just ask questions, and sometimes you get answers or not. Yeah.
Do you think there might be a possible explanation to the events you experienced?
No.
Can you give us a bit like a detailed account of the questions you asked and what actually happened on this app?
Okay, so what we were asking them was like, hey, who are you? Another one was like, it's really hard to explain. I really don't remember, but it was a long ass time ago.
Did you at all think that your life was being threatened or you were in any kind of danger?
Oh, no, not at all. I found it kind of hilarious, actually. It was not at all scary.
Was there anyone with you to share that experience with? And if so, what were their thoughts and reactions?
There was one for certain that was scared. His name was but the other ones were just like, yeah. Then the other ones were like, yeah, this wasn't as bad as we thought it was going to be.
All right, and final question. How has this event changed your views on the world and life after death?
There is definitely something out there. I don't know if there's 100% ghosts, but there's certainly something out there besides us that is after the dead. Yeah.
All right, thanks for coming on. That's it.
In any case, I think it's pretty easy to... Anything that happens on like an app or an electronic device can be really easily explained.
I did some research on this app. So, the legitimacy of this app is obviously in question. I think it's fake.
Yeah, I mean you can't code an app to speak to ghosts, right?
No.
You can code an app to say random words if you like, but there's no.
And they might
legitimacy
not
in
even
that.
be random, like especially because we know about things. So we know that like things like Google and App Store and YouTube, like they're tracking what you're doing. So like, especially with the family members thing, it wouldn't be that far-fetched to think that it just is, using this stored information to say stuff that is going to get a rise out of you.
When you use apps like this, like there's a terms and service agreement where it's like, can we use your location? Mm-hmm. So they could be like, hey, 2 people in the same household are using the same app at the same time. So it could be a form of trickery, I guess, to try to make it seem more real.
Yeah, I think that the biggest value of most of those is kind of just they can be fun for a minute, even regardless of how real or legitimate they are, but it's a little bit far-fetched to think that anything like, an app on your phone is going to speak to undead spirits.
Right.
Yeah. Is that all we have to say about that one?
I think so.
All right. So Lily, I've heard you had an experience about the paranormal. Can you tell us about that?
Sure. So basically, I had asked my parents for an Enochian dictionary, which is the language of the angels, for Christmas, and I got it. And I spent quite a lot of time just like hanging out reading it. It was pretty cool. But one day during Christmas break still, my mom came over to tell me she was getting ready to go to work and that I should probably get out of bed for the morning and all that jazz. So I was like, okay, whatever, lazy bones high schooler. I roll over and she walks downstairs. I open my eyes a little bit and see that my Enochian dictionary is on my pillow, propped up on it, facing towards me. And I'm like, okay, that's very strange. So I called down to my mom. By this point, she's downstairs. And I asked her if she put the book on my pillow or on my bed. And she said no. She thought that I had fallen asleep reading it. So I don't think much of it. And a couple weeks later, I have one of my friends over. And I'm recounting the story to her. And my mom happens to be in the room. and I'm telling her how it was propped up on my pillow facing me, and my mom just says, "That's not how it happened." And I was like, yeah, it is. And she then told me that when she saw the book on my bed, it was at my feet, which means during the minute or two it took for her to get downstairs and for me to roll over, it somehow moved from the foot of my bed to my pillow propped up in front of me. So it's kind of an unexplainable thing that happened. Kind of interesting.
And what was your reaction to the paranormal event?
Well, by that point, I had experienced them so much that I kind of shrugged off and didn't really care.
So then this happens a lot for you.
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
Do you think there might be a possible explanation to the event?
I cannot think of one. Genuinely cannot think of a single reason that would have happened.
How has this event changed your views on the world or life after death?
Well, I've always believed there was something more after we die. I don't think we just dissipate into nothing. I wouldn't say that it changed things. I would say it more probably solidified my ideas. I'm not exactly sure what happens after we die. Obviously, nobody is. But it gave me maybe a little bit more context to what happens, but I'm not really sure still, obviously.
Okay, and that is unfortunately all we have time for. Thank you for being on the podcast. I'll see you Monday.
See ya.
Bye.
Bye.
I don't know. It's interesting. I think that human memory is imperfect. There are gaps in the way we remember things. I think that it very easily could have just been her mom remembering it differently.
And one great example of this is the Mandela effect.
Right.
Mass amounts of people misremembering things. The human memory is not perfect.
No.
And there's been countless study after study about this, and especially in the crime world, because we use a lot of people for figuring out what the truth is in a situation and who is actually in the wrong. And a lot of that human memory is very faulty. Not to mention, she was very tired. We don't know what the night before looked like. She could have sleptwalked the book to her bed, or the book up to her pillow.
Or she could have just been reading it.
Yeah.
Or that,
I
and
was
she
gonna
just
bring
forgot.
that up. Yeah, when we wake up, our memory doesn't just start immediately. It takes a little bit for our brain to start working. So it's very possible that she could have just forgotten that she had moved it.
Mm-hmm.
Also, in the middle of the night, I don't know if you guys have ever been doing something and been half asleep, and you'll wake up enough to do something and go back to sleep and forget that you did it in the morning.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. I've woken up and there have been pillows on my floor.
Yeah. I've woken up and my head is where my feet were last night.
So you're just a rough sleeper then.
Well, maybe. Which could be that it runs in the family. She is my sister.
Yeah. Either that or a ghost lifted you up, flipped you
Could
over,
be.
and put you back down,
Looks like that's all we have.
We did not script an outro.
Hey, ladies, gents, and everything in between. Welcome to Goodbye. You see later.
And there's a rat.